Hey everybody, Chris Joslin here with the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum. And joining me is Alison Brown, and she has an upcoming concert here at the Hall of Fame on Derby Day, May the 6th. Alison joining us from Nashville. Alison, so good to see you.
Great to see you too, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking forward to hosting you on Saturday, and this is not your first visit to the Hall of Fame. I'm thinking back to that PBS extravaganza in late 2019. So you played here before as an individual artist.
Yeah, but this is the first time to bring the full band. So I'm really looking forward to it. You guys have such a beautiful theater and it's such an amazing
Yeah.
facility and resource in Owensboro. But I've been coming to Owensboro since the late 1980s, back in
No.
the early days of the bluegrass music, world of bluegrass, if it was even called that then.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, there's quite a legacy here. A lot of folks don't realize that the IBMA was established here in Owensboro, and the center of the bluegrass universe really all started here back in the 1980s. Yeah.
I,
Well,
yeah.
we're looking forward to having you. So the occasions you got a new record coming out actually on Friday. And so the concert here at the Hall of Fame on the 6th, Saturday, is really a celebration. Not only is it the Kentucky Derby official after party location, but we're celebrating some new music from the Alison Brown Quintet. And the title of the new project is On Banjo. I know you had some special guests on the record. Tell us a little bit about the record.
Right. Well, the record is, in a lot of ways, it's kind of a musical autobiography in the sense that, I come out of bluegrass music and I love bluegrass very much. And of course, Earl Scruggs was my path to the banjo. But one of the things I really enjoy doing with the instrument is kind of broadening the horizons for it and pushing the envelope a little bit. So this record has some bluegrass tracks that sit alongside some Latin flavored tracks and a string quartet track and some kind of swing era jazz tunes. And so it's a little bit of, just kind of an exploration of all the amazing things you can do with a five-string banjo.
Right. And I've been telling people, if you think you don't like bluegrass, a lot of people think they don't like bluegrass because they have a preconceived notion. But I tell them to come to this show because, like you said, this is there's a lot of variety, and you're showing what's possible on the banjo. So some very bluegrass pieces, but then some things that are really left of center too, that are super compelling. As a musician myself, I just love it.
Oh, thank you. Well, one of the things I found, being a banjo player all these many years is that a lot of people who aren't familiar with the banjo have trouble hearing what is so unique about the instrument and especially the three finger like bluegrass style. So a lot of what we do is play familiar tunes that, will resonate with people so that they can understand what the melody is if they already know it, and then see what's so cool about like three finger style picking technique. But we
Mm-hmm.
also incorporate some vocals and some interesting originals, and we've got some kind of really compelling little videos that we like to use during the show too. So it's I hope it's a little bit of something for everybody. That's what we try to do. But my favorite thing is, it's invariably the banjo player's spouse that comes up to me after the show and says, "Wow, I got dragged to this show and I didn't think that I liked the banjo, but I really love the banjo." And after all, it's America's most popular instrument, or at least it was at the end of the 1800s. So
Yeah, right. So it's making a comeback. It's just taking a while.
yeah, yeah, we're
So,
working on it though.
so in terms of what people can expect Saturday night, you've already spoken to that to some extent, but tell us about the band and the instrumentation for Saturday's concert.
Right, it's definitely a little bit unconventional. I have an amazing flute player named John Ragusa from New York City. He's going to be with us. Mason Embry on piano, Jordan Perlson on drums and percussion. Gary West, of course, co-founder of Compass Records, and my husband, and as I like to say, the best bass player in his price range.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing bass, and Hannah West is going to be joining us on some vocals.
Yeah, that's great. So for those who are just discovering you and your music, I mean, you had what some might consider an unconventional path to bluegrass. I mean, you didn't grow up in Appalachia and learn this on the front porch. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you got involved in music.
Right. Well, I grew up in mostly in Southern California and got into bluegrass music through the amazing music of Earl Scruggs. And that's what kind of drew me back to Southern Appalachia. And one of the reasons why I'm sitting here talking to you from Nashville, Tennessee, rather than San Diego, California. But I took a big detour into investment banking for a few years before I realized that my passion for the banjo really far exceeded any interest I had in refunding tax-exempt bond issues.
That's great. Well, and you do have a really interesting story. A lot of folks are aware too that you and your husband co-founded Compass Records in Nashville, and really putting out some of the best roots music that's out there these days. I just love the roster at Compass. Yeah, tell us about what you're excited about coming out of Compass Records here in 2023, in addition to On Banjo.
Well, it's been bluegrass central here around Compass Records the last few months, which is a little bit unusual for us, but we've got some records I'm so excited about. A new release from Robbie Fulks called Bluegrass Vacation. He's, of course, an icon of alt Americana music, amazing writer, and a great singer, player. He started off in the band Special Consensus in Chicago, so his roots really do run deep in bluegrass. And he made a return to bluegrass with this record, and I had the honor of playing on a few tracks. And it's a really good record. I'm super excited about that one. We've got a record from Leftover Salmon coming up in a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And one from Special Consensus, speaking of those guys, which I produced, which was a lot of fun, called Great Blue North. That one's coming out a week from Friday.
Yeah.
And we've got a relatively new record from Mike Cleveland that's doing really well called Lovin' of the Game. And of course, he's just an American treasure.
Yeah.
So a lot of great bluegrass and bluegrass related, bluegrass adjacent music, which I'm excited
that's
about.
awesome. Well, it's going to be such a fun night this Saturday night here at the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum. And tickets are just $22. You get a VIP ticket for $32, but that's a low ticket price. But we just want to make it accessible to this whole community to discover this music and everything that's awesome about the Alison Brown Quintet. As I mentioned, if you have somebody in your life that you think they don't like bluegrass, you should bring them to this, because they're going to walk out a fan of this music, and certainly a fan of the banjo and of Alison Brown. So tickets are available at bluegrasshall.org, or you can just drop by the box office here at the Hall of Fame most any time, or just kind of walk up after you wrap up your derby party. Just keep the party going and come on down to the Bluegrass Music Hall of Fame and Museum. Saturday night, 7 p.m. here in Owensboro. Alison, we can't wait. Thanks for joining us today. So good to see you. Good to talk with you.
Always great to talk to you, Chris. And thanks for all you do with the Bluegrass Museum and Hall of Fame. It's a really special place, and I truly can't wait to come back.
Yeah, thanks. See you Saturday night.